No? Anyone have any questions? No? Alhamdulillah. Very good. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa kafa wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah. Amma ba'd. رب يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربي زدني علما والحقني بالصالحين سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. So, sisters and Islam, before we begin and continue from where we left off last week, just a thought. You know, we are living a time where we have to constantly address problems when they arise. That has become the new norm. We don't look at what may be the symptoms leading up to that problem, but once a problem becomes something that we feel is beyond our control, we'll start talking about it. Thus, our society, our community, our homes, our families are suffering from one and the same problem. This is not healthy for any human being. To stay in a state of denial until something becomes beyond our control, and that would entail something that we can no longer hide, something that we can no longer conceal from the community. It is not the way that our religion was given to us. Rasulullah ﷺ was sent as a messenger to the entire humanity. This is very profound. Entire humanity, from the jinn and the ins, the whole world, till the day of judgment. Why was it? Our understanding is the Prophet ﷺ came to propagate the message of God. Yes. He came to give a message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He came to teach us about Tawheed and the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But how did he do that? Sometimes we take things very literally. He came to put forth a method of life for all humans and jinns to the day of judgment, regardless of the era that they reside in, the city or town or the state or the country they reside in, the circumstances surrounding which they reside. We have a model. That model is what we call Islam. So Islam came to make human beings into humans. Shaitan wants to make human beings inhumane in their ways. When the Prophet ﷺ, after the conquer of Makkah, said, to the near meaning of that, Shaitan has now given up any hope that he will be worshipped in this land. It's very interesting. Meaning that time will not come, insha'Allah, to the day of judgment, where polytheism, idolaters will be worshipping in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the method, in the manner that they did prior to the conquest of Makkah. So when he talked about that, he said he's not going to succeed there. He knows he's not going to succeed there, but he will succeed in the small things. Understand this, a very deep meaning to this. Shaitan will not tell us what to do. He will not tell us, go lie. He will not tell us, na'udhu billah, go commit zina or go drink alcohol or go. He's not going to tell you. His strategy is what the Prophet ﷺ was telling us. He is now given up hope that he will ever be worshipped in this land. He's not going to, i.e., his strategy is not what he wants you to do by telling you to do it. It's going to be what he wants you to do by telling you what not to do. Don't tell the truth. It's very different than like self-thought. It's very different than saying lie. Don't tell the truth. Be a bad human being. He's not going to tell you that. He'll say, don't be respectful. When it comes to trust, he will not tell you cheat. He will say, everyone else cheats, so just be untrustworthy. It's okay. So Shaitan, the way he is going to work on us from that time to the day of judgment is don't do.
Making it look better.
And not only making it look better, he's not going to come up front and tell us to do it. He's going to tell us what not to do. And when we don't do what we're supposed to do, we will be doing what he wants us to do. You know, they say you can hold the ear from here or hold the ear from here, right? But what Shaitan is doing, he's not doing directly. He's going around the loop. And we're like, oh, alhamdulillah, we're Muslims. Islam is the fastest growing religion. We have masajid, mashallah, that are so big. But he will never come and say, break down the masjid. He will never come and say, don't go to the masjid. He will say, the masjid is not a good place to go. You can worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at home. The people here are no good. So he's going to bring negativity from the opposite direction that you will come to the conclusion that he wants you to. Don't come to the masjid. So Shaitan is on a task. Rasulullah ﷺ came with this message. This is what Islam is about, making human beings into humans. Once we understand what it means to be a human being and we live according to what it means to be a human being, then Shaitan's trick, Shaitan's plot, Shaitan's scheme is unsuccessful. Guaranteed. So we have to understand him from a different angle than what we're seeing him right now. There's no idols in our house, alhamdulillah, but there are what we can say elements of shirk within our lives. We think about idols as there's a big idol standing here and we're saying that we're going to pray to this. That's one aspect. But the small shirk is where Shaitan makes you believe Allah cannot do but like this. It is because I have the money I will get health. It is because I have the best facilities I will get what I want. This is, Shaitan didn't tell you worship money. You're not saying you're worshiping money. You're not saying you're worshiping medicine. You're just saying, but. See, there's words like but and if where Shaitan comes in. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, فَإِنَّ كَلِمَةَ لَوْ تُفْتَحُ عَمَلَ الشَّيْطَانِ. When you start saying if I was not to move here, if I was to do that, if we weren't supposed to, if we didn't do this, Shaitan is going to make you, he's going to make the foundation of your stability shaky. Once he makes that shaky, he'll not tell you to jump into the hellfire. You're going to just fall yourself into it. That's his game. I'm saying this because it is so important for us now as mothers and wives and the representatives of Islam and the Ummah of Rasulullah ﷺ, that we take this proactive approach where we break out from this cocoon that I'm not doing wrong or everything is okay, because where we're seeing the next generation go is very, very scary. Every day we wake up with new stories and new things that are happening. It takes away any hope that Islam will continue forward. The only way Islam will succeed is if we as Muslims will be able to transfer the knowledge of what it means to be a human being, those values, those traits, those qualities, so that when we die, we could smile and say we've left behind a whole generation that's understood it. Shaitan right now is making everyone question everything. See, going back to the drawing board and questioning everything. Why is 1 1? Why isn't 1 2? Why is A the first letter? Why not B? Why am I a boy? Why am I not a girl? All these questions are coming. See how Shaitan is playing the game. He's making you question the basic things that what we would call, you're actually reinventing the wheel. There's no need to do that. But he's created enough instability. We're shaking so much. Everything is a question. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us and protect our families and protect our generation. That is why, Ameen Ya Rabbil Alameen, that is why we are doing these type of lessons on a weekly basis to reinstill what it means to be a human being, because that is what it means to be a Muslim. And if we can understand it and we can inculcate it and we can benefit from it, that inshallah many to come after us for generations will be able to benefit from it also, inshallah. Being a human being requires adopting certain values and putting aside certain practices. So we talked about Khawla bint Tha'laba radiallahu ta'ala anha last week, and we ended with the story of Zayd, the adopted son of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam married his wife when she was divorced from him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Zawwajnakaha." There's a whole story behind that. But moving forward from this, in addition to understanding the importance of doing beyond our comfort zone, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if we all study, I would like you all to do some homework, is just study the background of each of the wives of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Just their backgrounds. There's so much hikmah and wisdom behind why he married who he married. All of them were widowed except for one. But what was their background? Which tribe? Which religion? What did he do this for? He did this not for fun or pleasure. He did this because he wanted to show a practical example that the tribalism walls can be broken down and many other walls can also be broken down. The Prophet ﷺ never did anything for himself to make himself happy. We today may categorize that as struggle, sacrifice, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, fine, you could call that. But you know what it was? That was his happiness. He found happiness in the happiness of others. He found his happiness in seeing the success of others. He found his happiness when Musab ibn Umair radiallahu ta'ala understood Islam and marched on towards Medina to teach the people. He found happiness when Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala stood by his side and affirmed his dream, what he saw, affirmed his journey which he had in the portion of night. He was happy when Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala embraced Islam and then challenged everyone who dare come. He was happy when his nephew Ali radiallahu ta'ala embraced Islam and put himself on the bed so the Prophet ﷺ can run out with Abu Bakr radiallahu anh, and he could make his hijrah. These were things that made him happy. He got happy when other people found their happiness, when they found their part. Let's understand this. If all of us can help other become happy in their deen, we have found our happiness also. Our world isn't happy today because happiness has been manipulated, the term. It should mean how you get what you want. You could go and see whoever has whatever they have or whatever they wanted to have. Happiness doesn't come with it. Happiness is not like a plastic seal or the plastic tie that comes on a bread package. And just because it's bread in this packet, this plastic tie has to be there. Happiness doesn't tag along. Happiness is very different. Islam teaches us as human beings, your happiness isn't you. Your happiness is others. So the Prophet ﷺ made a society of goodness and happiness because he brought that on the faces and the lives of others. If he really wanted, he would have at least tested that option. Tested. The angel said to him, make the mountains gold. He would say, okay, just for one day I'll test it, right? Take a Bentley for the weekend, test drive. He could have tried it, right? But he didn't even try it. He didn't even try it. Look at how he used to eat bread. Sometimes they used to eat the raw barley. Why? He couldn't even cook his bread properly. It's not like he didn't have the time to. He didn't want to. Because he knew if he got accustomed to the right type of bread, one day of a lot of gold, Monopoly for example, one nice garment, then this would take him down the path of himself and not the people. So he said, fine, don't need it. I'm not saying we need to throw everything in the garbage. No. I'm saying whatever Allah has given us, alhamdulillah. But my happiness isn't there. This is my food, but my health isn't in, sorry, my fulfillment isn't in my food. This is medicine, my health isn't in the medicine. These are clothing, my honor isn't in this clothing. This is my house, my status isn't in this house. Separate it. I want us now to separate these things. The society has told us it's part and parcel. It's like eggs come with the box, right? The box, right? We went to a market in Tampa where they were selling the eggs, the what, the what do you call those murhis? Just not the farm raised chickens. And subhanallah, there was no box. And I'm like, where's the box? It was like in little baskets, because now growing up mentally we've been spoiled that eggs have to come in those crates, just as milk has to come in a jug. You could just go and fill it up yourself. So the society is going down that path where if you think it is connected, you only get more and more frustrated when you don't find it. So we need to separate that and teach our children to separate that. Our Islam teaches us one more thing before we go back into the book. It teaches us life should be fluid. Things could rotate. And that's why I tell people when we do Hajj seminars in preparation for Hajj, I tell people, start tying the ihram to the brothers and walk around the house for an hour or two a day. Get used to it. Sleep on the floor once a week. Why? Because situations on this earth never stayed the same. There has never been stability on this earth. And it never will be. Because stability is only something in Jannah. So if we dream or we hope that we'll create a good world where there'll be stability, every level of stability we create opens a door for new challenges that challenge that stability. So our lives as a Muslim is to be flexible, that we can take on the waves. If we are going to be firm in our ways, the second we don't get what we want to drink or what we want to eat or what we want to wear or where we want to sleep, our lives go up and down. You cannot shatter yourself because of these things. Rasulullah made it clear to us, this is not important. He is Muhammadur Rasulullah. His name touches the name of Allah in La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. There can be no wrong or injustice that was perpetrated by Allah on his Habib sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why then did he live a life of hardships and suffering and trials? Because that was right. It was the thing that made him who he was supposed to be. He didn't opt for anything else, even though it was offered to him. The offer was made because it was to challenge the perception of that time that your richness, your tribe, your lineage, the people that you have, the sons that you have, the amount of camels you have, the land that you own, this is your honor. But Rasulullah said, I don't need this. I don't need it. I don't want it. Allah is telling us for those things that we can't get, you don't need it. Let's start understanding Allah's language. Allah's language is you don't need it. I want it, I want it, I want it. Allah saying you don't need it, you don't need it, you don't need it. If I can accept Allah saying that I don't need it, then those small things will not bother me. My life will not go into turmoil if that thing is taken from me. This is all, subhanAllah, seeing with the eyes of the heart and not the eyes of the body. Islam teaches us to see internally, not externally. Islam created for us the power of the soul, that we think from our soul, we act from our soul, we strengthen our soul. We don't follow emotions. It is because of emotions our world is where it is today. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us, inshallah. In order to become that person that we talk about, these are the characteristics. These are the qualities. These are the defining factors of an ideal Muslim woman. We move on to the next part, inshallah. She does not sit alone with a stranger. Obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam can only be achieved by following their commands and keeping away from that which they have prohibited. One way in which the Muslim woman obeys Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam is by not sitting alone with a stranger. It is known as ajnabi, a person to whom she is not closely related, i.e. a non-mahram, a person that she can get married to, because doing so is haram according to the consensus of the scholars and the basis of this hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said, a man should not sit alone with a woman unless a mahram is with her, and a woman should not travel without a mahram. A man stood up and said, O Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, my wife has set out for Hajj and I have enlisted for such and such military expedition. He said, go and perform Hajj with your wife. The mahram is a man to whom marriage is forever forbidden for a woman, such as a father, brother, paternal uncle, maternal uncle, etc. The ajnabi, or stranger, is a man to whom marriage is allowed in principle, even if he is a relative, especially the husband's brother and other similar close relatives. It is forbidden for a woman to sit alone with all of these because the Prophet ﷺ said, beware of visiting women. A man of the Ansar asked, O Messenger of Allah ﷺ, what about the brother-in-law? He said, the brother-in-law is death. The brother-in-law is? The brother-in-law is death. Kitab al-Nikah. Death. Death. Yeah, he's dead. Meaning it is a problem, right? The brother-in-law is the husband's brother or other similarly close relatives by marriage. The Prophet ﷺ's words, the brother-in-law is death, means that evil is more likely to occur from these quarters than from elsewhere, because of the ease with which he enters his brother's house. The word death is used to emphasize and as a sharp warning, as if sitting alone with a brother-in-law may lead to immorality and calamitous consequences that would be akin to the calamity of death. The true Muslim woman does not fall into such errors as are committed by so many careless people nowadays. Let's stop here. Our society, when I was working for the Florida Department of Education, we were talking about issues that were plaguing our school systems and our children. I came to an understanding. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through this deen and through the words of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, told us, don't do this, right? Society says, what's wrong with this? So we went against it. We started seeing problems. Those problems became apparent to the extent that it had to be addressed. So for example, no relationship before marriage, right? One example. Society says, what's wrong with having a relationship? Anyone could go and have a relationship with anyone else. We saw the effects. And so what happened is, okay, contraceptive measures, age, sexual education that's being taught at grade 5 in the schools. No, all this. Problem isn't going away. Now what are they saying? Abstinence. No relationship until you're married. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, this is what's right for you. We said as a society, no, it's not. It's backward. But when we saw the harms, we went through every possible way of going around it, only to come back and say, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said is right. I promise you, humanity will learn two ways only. Either through what is told or through their experiences. If you learn through your experiences, you wasted a great portion of your life. You know? If a person says, what's wrong with drinking? People say, oh, drinking wine 1 cup a day is good for your heart. We can drink wine. There's nothing wrong. I'm not becoming intoxicated. Go ahead and do it. What's going to happen? You're going to fall into the problems. We have more alcohol-related deaths in our society than anything else. Most of our car accidents happen because of alcohol. And it's actually not just alcohol. It's intoxicants, any other type, such as vaping, which is also highly cancerous, and all other things that are out there that are intoxicating, that change our mental state of mind, and it clouds our spiritual state. The world will go 360, but they will come back. When will they come back? Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. But it's with trial and error that they will come to realize that this is the right thing. And when they see this is the right thing, and you tell them that Islam told us this thing, they will find that this was something we should have done all along. But this is the nature of human being. Sometimes we take good to be bad, and sometimes we take bad to be good. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, عسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم وعسى أن تحبوا شيئا وهو شر لكم. We despise or dislike that I have to do this or I can't do that, but Allah's saying it's good for you. Allah's saying it's good for you. And maybe you love something, but Allah's saying it's bad for you. Allah knows and you don't know. So life isn't long enough. We're not living hundreds of years or thousands of years that we can trial and error. So we need to understand that what Allah is telling us is only for our good. Take Allah to be your doctor. Consider yourself to be a patient in the ICU unit in the hospital with some type of disease or problem that no one could understand. You know why? Because at that moment, your ego, your knowledge, I know, down the gutter. It's gone. Now you're saying, whatever you tell me, whatever you do to me, I want to do. Insan today does not want tarbiyah. We want to learn, we want to know, we want to speak, but we don't want to implement. We don't want to practice. We don't want to listen. We don't want to try. Why? Because we feel someone else could do that. So knowledge is useless. If we talk about swimming pool and water all day, but no one jumps into water, it's useless. To really understand what water is and its dangers and benefits, you have to jump into water. So foolish is the teacher that will teach you in the middle of America, where there's no water, about water and the harms and tsunamis, and never take you to the shore of the Atlantic or Pacific and show you go into the water. We have to go into the water. If we're just going to learn and we're not going to try to put into practice and we're not going to understand its relevancy and importance in our world today, it's just foolishness in my opinion. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us. Now let's look at this. 3 points we can find from this, what the author has just said. That a Muslim woman should not sit alone with a stranger. Who is a stranger? It was identified to us. Unfortunately, it is so predominant in our cultures that we will allow our children to go play with their cousins or go hang out with their cousins or sleep over at different places. Did you know that those are the ones who victimize the children first? Oprah Winfrey, read her life. She was raped in childhood by her family members. No one came from outside. See, when we make rules and laws, we have to make those rules and laws in an unbiased fashion. We shouldn't say those people are wrong. I'm not saying your family is wrong or my family is wrong, but why put myself in a position where wrong can happen? There's double standards in our cultures that we have made into our religion. You should not allow yourself to be alone. See, traveling today is no longer alone. You're traveling with masses. So some scholars may say if in a state of urgency or need, a sister has to travel. There's somehow family members sick back home, you need to go, your husband cannot go because of work, get on a plane, off you go. Because you're traveling with the masses. You're not traveling alone. In those days, caravans were alone. You'd just be a lone traveler. You'll be lucky to be a part of a caravan, but then you have to buy into that. You want to join our caravan? You need to give us something. What we will do, we will protect you, we'll give you security, we'll get you to that point. Imagine traveling alone in the desert. We need to make sure, number one, that alone is something unacceptable. In our cultures, brother-in-laws are coming and they're staying and this and that. It's haram. It's haram. As much as you say, I'm not going to go sit down beside that man because it's haram, you understand that? Well, understand a family member coming into your house or staying at your house when that person is a non-mahram is haram. It is where shaitan plays. Shaitan has made us realize girls should not hang out with guys. We're understanding this should not happen. But he also desensitized us in this matter, in this regard. Oh, we're family. And how is our Desi families? It depends if you're Indian, Pakistani, or Bangladeshi. Family keeps on growing. Now remember, your father and my father used to go to the same school, and so we're family. And like the way we make family is crazy nowadays. We make these, if Ancestry.com was based on Desi culture, it would be false, because I don't know how we make relationships down the road. No, if I can marry a person, that means to stay alone with that person is haram. Now look at what I was telling you about abstinence and sexual interaction. What is our world telling us today in the light of Harvey Weinstein and all these other things are happening? Now in corporate America, in schools, and in public forums, a man and a woman cannot sit down together. New laws have been enforced to make sure that a professor, a teacher, an employer, an employee does not sit in the same room with a lady. This is not Sharia law. This is not Saudi Arabia. MashaAllah, Saudi Arabia, they just had a 3-day concert. Huh? Where is Islam going? Yeah, Black Eyed Peas and the whole 9 yards, they're all there, MashaAllah. Good time, huh? This is our Islam is gone. Our Islam is so messed up, astaghfirullah. We have messed it up. This is what happened, where these people now are saying, we've learned from our mistakes. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, I gave you a deen where you won't need to make those mistakes. Because when you don't make mistakes, you're productive. When you don't make mistakes, you're a leader. When you do make mistakes, you're stuck on fixing yourself, patching yourself, bettering yourself. You're in rehab. Allah is saying, don't go in rehab. I've sent you as Muslims, help the world. So this is exactly what the Prophet ﷺ is saying. It doesn't mean we have to be super strict. We have to be right. There's a difference. We have to overdo our religion and say, oh, this is haram. No, we have to do right across the board. As we have grown up in a culture where things were okay, and we see things in this culture which may not be okay, I'm not saying they're right, but identify that there's things that you're doing in your culture which are also wrong. Don't say I'm right and what I've done is right, how I was raised is right. This is exactly the words that shaitan uses on the mouth of the people that the Quran said over and over again. We found our forefathers doing this. How dare you tell me this? We were talking about Islam and culture and cultural baggage with the Makkah scholars in Epic last month. And inshallah, this Friday we'll have it here. Everyone please attend, bring your family. It's very important. We're talking about the difficulties in finding one's better half, i.e. how come it is so hard for the girls and boys today to find a partner for marriage. We need to understand this. Big part of it is our culture. In the olden days, you would know someone who knew someone who had a son or a daughter, and you would do the meetup. Nowadays, you have all the Muslim apps, all the Muslim websites, matrimonial events, and still 30, 40-year-old women and men are not getting married. There's something wrong. If this is half my deen, there's a big problem here. We need to figure it out together. So subhanAllah, I was talking about culture. I was talking about how, we can criticize India for a culture of what it has, not seeing that in Pakistan and Bangladesh, a Hindu culture has infiltrated into our practices. So you say, oh, India's Hindus. Yeah, and I'm not being biased here because I've connected with India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. So, but I'm saying that, okay, they're wrong. Yes, maybe some things that they're doing is wrong. But do you realize some of the wrongs that you're doing that they taught not knowing that it's wrong? Think about these things. If I want to fix something, I cannot fix it holding on to what I have. Fixing means you might have to let go of something and adopt something new. So in our cultures of how we hang out as families or how we do things, or you know what, I can't go right now, my brother's going to come pick you up and take you to doctors. No way. Not at all. I'd rather take an Uber and go, because there's less shuttle with the Uber, because professionally they're being monitored, the distance is being monitored, everything's being monitored, where if you go with my brother, Allah knows what may happen. This is problems that have been showing its result in our countries, in this country, till this day, but we've been keeping it hush hush. Don't talk about it. If it happened, oh, shaitan did it. No, we did it. We allowed shaitan to do it. So the Prophet ﷺ talked about this to the extent once the Prophet ﷺ entered his home. He entered his home, and Aisha radiallahu anha was sitting, and there was a man in the home. The Prophet ﷺ got very mad. So who is this? She said, he came to see you, Rasulullah. But don't worry, he's blind. And what did he say to her? You're not blind. Right? So, you know, in our culture says, oh, don't look. Bollywood songs on, don't look at her. Oh, Hrithik Roshan, Salman Khan. This is double standard. We all have eyes. If he cannot look at her, I cannot look at him. If we're telling our sons and daughters, don't do this, but they see it happening in a different way, the trust on the Islam is gone. So here the Prophet ﷺ said, you cannot. He even said this is death, i.e. it takes you down a path where your moral compass is gone, your spirituality is gone, your Islam in its values of making you a human being is gone. So we talked about who you should not sit with, the cultural phenomenon. We talked about travel. And of course, when it comes to traveling, the Prophet ﷺ told him, go with your wife to Hajj. Don't send her alone. Nowadays, the Saudi embassy has permitted that anyone who is of 45 years of age and older, she can go to Hajj with a Hajj group, because the Hajj group becomes her mahram. Many of us will disagree with that, because mahram is someone who is your blood, like your father, your uncle, you know. But in light of the fact that they're going with the masses, they're going with a lot of people, it's a positive thing, but at the same time, it's not recommended. Better she goes with family members, because there's times when she will need a family member, and it's imperative that a family member should be there. So again, Rasulullah just laid out what was right. What is best. From who? Allah. Who is Allah? The author of our lives, the creator of us. If we don't want to do it, it's fine. We're going to make mistakes, and ultimately we're going to come back saying, this is right. But when we find this is right, i.e., this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the beginning. So these are things that we need to do. At the end, he says, the true Muslim woman does not fall into such errors as are committed by so many careless people nowadays. Let me tell you the biggest problem here. The biggest problem here is that when we see those mistakes happen, we don't talk about it. We need to educate. Sometimes we learn from books, and sometimes we learn from mistakes. If we don't talk about those mistakes, they continue to multiply and reoccur throughout generations. If we learned something was wrong that happened to us, or we saw something happen back home, or we saw something happen in our childhood, we need to talk about it to our children. We need to make them aware and informed about these things. When we say there's some things we just shouldn't talk to our children about, my question to you is simple. I want you to answer me, please. Who then should talk to your children about this? Your children, not my children. Your children. Who should talk to them about this? Who will educate them about these things? How come we are not? We should, right? As parents, how come we are not doing this? How come we have this hope that they'll figure it out? How will they figure it out? Like, when they make a mistake, you know, everything is gone down the drain. Like, the doors of, you know, everything goes bad. But the thing is that they didn't make a mistake knowing it was wrong. They never knew where. It's all good. At times like this is when Rasulullah came, where killing family members and tribes was okay. Waging war was okay. Taking a newborn child and putting her in the ground alive was okay. Cutting the head of your enemy and drinking from his skull or her skull was okay. Everything was kullu halal. Islam came saying, no, this is not okay. Burying your daughters is not okay. Putting down your daughters is not okay. Sleeping with whoever you want isn't okay. Why do you think in Surah Nisa Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمْ أُمَّهَاتُكُمْ وَبَنَاتُكُمْ أَخَوَاتُكُمْ عَمَّاتُكُمْ. Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala list the people that you cannot marry? Because the society that time was saying it's all okay. Allah had to restructure and put down those walls. No, you can't marry your mother. You cannot marry your sister. You cannot marry your daughter. But guess what? We're back in those days again. It's all happening right now. How is it going to change? Two ways. Both. Number one, we need to understand it and live by it. And then we need to bring it to the world and allow them to live by it also. Because the world isn't making arrogant mistakes. They're only doing it because they don't know better. So this is one aspect of a Muslim woman. A Muslim woman can go to work. A Muslim woman can engage in a profession. But her modesty is she will never be with a stranger. She will know where to draw the line. These are very important things. Rasulullah didn't say, don't do this. He seldomly said, don't. He said, how to. Positive reinforcement is much better than our cultural way of don't. The no, 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 no isn't beneficial. This is how you should do it. This is what you should do. This is when you should do it. It's better than saying, don't do this right now, don't do this ever. It doesn't work like that. The next point. She wears correct hijab. The Muslim woman wears correct hijab when she goes out of her house. Hijab is a distinctive Islamic dress whose features have been clearly defined by the Quran and Sunnah. She does not go out of the house or appear before non-mahram men wearing perfume, makeup, and other fineries because she knows that this is haram according to the Quran. He quotes verse number 31 of chapter number 24, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and say to the believing women that they should lower their gaze and guard their modesty, that they should not display their beauty and ornaments except what must ordinarily appear thereof, that they should draw their veils over their bosoms and not display their beauty except to their husbands, their fathers, their husbands' fathers, their sons, their husbands' sons, their brothers or their brother's son, or their sisters' sons, or their women, or the slaves whom their right hand possesses, or male servants free of physical needs, or small children who have no sense or shame of distinction of the genders, and that they should not strike their feet in order to draw attention to their hidden ornaments. And O you believers, turn all together towards Allah that you may attain bliss. Now let me tell you exactly what happened here. What's happening here is what should have been inside the house has gone outside the house. And what should have been outside the house has gone inside the house, realistically. At home, you don't have to dress up, don't have to look good. Men and women. Man might walk all Sunday in his pajama. Huh? It's like, who cares? But when we have to go outside, oh, you have to look good. For who? Allah is saying you have to look good, but for specific reason, for specific people. We're saying we have to look good for the world. Look good for people who don't know your name and who don't care who you are and who you cannot get anything from, and they're not interested in getting anything from you also. This is a very dangerous trend. This trend has opened the doors of finding imperfections also. When I have to go out and look good for the world, not every person will tell you you look good according to their standard. Now what that's going to do is only create more insecurity. The insecurity will be then addressed with more makeup, different perfumes, different colors, different heels, and ultimately no one's going to be happy. And in the pursuit of making everyone happy, you yourself are not happy. When Allah said, look good for your husband, your father, your children, that's really what that goodness is about. Our children are being raised in the veils of insecurity. They're not happy, they're not confident. That is why it's so important to teach that, did you know? Teach your children if they are small. Did you know when you were small? Yeah. When you were small, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made you with his hands. Allah made you. He designed you. He formed you. If someone says this is Picasso's painting, it's like, oh, wow, it's big. Allah made us. Do you know that artist? His art is priceless. That's Allah. Now they realize that when there's something wrong, they don't look at it as they're wrong. They'll say, this is something unique from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My Allah made me this way. And they're happy about it. So that mindset is based on if you build it or if you don't. If you don't build it by saying what I just said, then they'll grow up saying, but she's taller and I'm not. That person looks better and I don't. And it goes really further. They're younger and I'm not. Well, you're not going to stay the same age. We're all going to get old. Hair is going to get white. Back is going to hunch. Knees are going to hurt when we wake up. It's part of life. It's going to happen. But if you're going to fight that, you're fighting the exact process that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made and made for us. Allah is going to make us old. And we are going to look old. And then Allah tells us from the Prophet ﷺ that Allah feels shame when a man, for example, with old man, white hair, puts his hand up and says, oh Allah, that Allah does not listen and answer to that person. But if I'm going to put bad shoe polish on my hair every day, and at 80 I'm going to look like I'm a 22 years old, I'm going to deceive myself saying I'm young. As in Florida they say, we're young at heart. Life has just begun. You got an old man who parks at the handicap, but he's driving a Mustang GT, mashallah. How he controls that thing. No, we're young. It's a deception. Rasulullah said it's a deception. Accept and embrace. Accept and embrace it. I was seeing this documentary about how makeup has evolved. Now they have this thing where women actually, when they go out, they're wearing a mask. A mask. There's so many layers we've put on. There's like a peelable mask you put on that you can take off after you come home. Who are we going to impress? Who even cares? If you get on the cover of, for the men, GQ magazine or whatever, who cares? The Prophet ﷺ said, he never said, dress like nuns. He never said, wear raggedy clothes. Inna Allaha jamilun yuhibbul jamal. Allah is beautiful. He likes beauty. So wear the best of what you have. Wear the best of what you can afford. Wear it and be happy. But do it for yourself. If you don't want to do it for your husband or your father, just do it for yourself. Because all we're doing now is for the world. A person's driving an $800 monthly payment car to impress people who will just say, oh, take a picture, I saw this car, but they don't care about you. You're ending up going to Walmart to buy groceries because that money could have been spent on food, but you're saying, no, I want to show people who I am. Allah is saying, show me who you are. Show Allah. Because Allah says, I will value you. I will elevate you. I will increase you in this world and in the next. Show me, Allah saying. But we're saying, Allah, I don't want to show you. I want to show your creation. How does it go? It's misery upon misery. So what is hijab? This is very important. Our hijab means a dress of modesty and chastity at all times. When it comes to one's husband, the dress is different. When it comes to the children and family, the dress is different. When it comes to the world, understand that you are like the Kohinoor, the diamond that the British Empire stole from the Taj Mahal. And they cut it up into pieces and put it on the Queen's thing.
Yeah.
Anyone can touch it? Can anyone touch it? Layers upon layers of security, protection. Even when those people touch it, they touch it with special silk gloves that nothing should touch that thing. Why? Because every human being, not just women, every human being, man and woman, is unique in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's eyes. They are honored in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's eyes. They have a value and a price in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's eyes. So we also should uphold the value. If the British Museum says, you know what, leave the Kohinoor outside by the trash can tonight, we'll pick it up tomorrow. No, you protect it. Allah is saying you protect yourself. Don't say someone should protect you, protect yourself. Any dress that covers the entire body, number one, in a way that the body cannot be seen physically or by its shape is modesty, is part of hijab. Number two, that the dress that we wear does not create pride or arrogance inside us. Number three, it does not lure people towards. What the Prophet ﷺ said about the high heels or the anklets, it's a distraction. You're luring attention. The perfume, you're luring attraction. Wear it, buy it, do it at home. I was in Pakistan. We did a tour of Pakistan from north to south. And we were in the valleys of Mingora. Anyone know Mingora, Sawat, Bahrain, Kala, Madian, the most beautiful parts of Pakistan. You have dark black mountains, crisp blue water. It was such a mesmerizing sight, such a beautiful place. The amount of tourists from Europe and America was amazing. SubhanAllah, it's like a piece of heaven on earth. Such a nice area. And in that area, I realized that there was no women on the street. Except for the tourist, there was no women from the society. And so I did a program in Mingora's medical college. I had spoken to the students and the dean and the professors over there. We stayed there for a day, actually, and did programs there. SubhanAllah, one of the youngsters who was at our service, I asked him, how come there's no women from the society on the streets? He said it's forbidden for them to come out. They do not come out. If they do come out, I saw one lady, she was clinging to the wall and walking. She was hugging the wall and walking, as if it was regarded culturally very wrong for a woman to come out. And she was fully clothed and fully covered, And I said to him, if that's the case in the university is in the city of Sawat, Mingora. It's a medical college, and mashallah, people of Sawat are very fair skinned and they have colored eyes. So you go there, you thought you're in America or Europe, and boys and girls mixing, and there's no hijab. Like, what's just happening here? Like, outside these walls, no one. Inside these walls, America. What just happened here? He said, well, let me tell you, many of our fathers, they work like in New York and stuff, taxi drivers. And what happens is at home we have satellite TV. See, here we pay $100 or something for direct TV. Over there it's free. You go Morocco and all these countries, if you look from the top of the roof of a house, you'll see satellite dishes everywhere. Here we pay, there it's free. So the message is being propagated. They say that when dad goes back to work, we're watching the advertisements of MAC, Sephora, Michael Kors, and so they're making lists. When he's coming back, bring me stuff. So it's already started in the house. Which is good. But the culture shock that's going to occur very soon is when it's going to come out of the house. It's going to be disastrous because there's no balance. The Prophet ﷺ didn't say stay in your homes. Women need to be, and I said in my class on Saturday, women need to be part of building this society. Don't think it's only men. The society is already destroyed. If our sisters who understand the values, our mothers and our sisters don't come out in society and help educate while upholding what's the right thing, wrong is only going to happen. Don't think the world is going to change and become better. We are going down some very, very difficult times. I was saying in my class on Saturday that in Canada 4 years ago, they passed a law that women could walk topless, and they are in summer. This is just the beginning. When Rasulullah said that it's going to be so bad that people are going to have relationships up on the street, there's no shame left. Where are we going to go then? I ask you, where are we going to go? Are we going to go back home? Where is back home? The same things that are happening here are happening all over the world. It's just happening in different ways. So to bring values and uphold values, we need to have them and we need to go out with them. When women see you dress, why are you dressed like this? This is my religion. It tells me to dress beautifully, but with modesty. I have met so many women in churches, they would say, I wish my religion had this. I wish my religion had this. But how will they consider that? How will they think of that if they don't see it? Our hijabs are for the world. We go out, we dress modestly. We wear our hijab, we cover our hair, we cover our beauty, and we go out and do what we have to do. Not sitting with men or the opposite gender in private. We do what we have to do with modesty. This is what the Prophet ﷺ is saying. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying in the Holy Quran as He's advising us of how we should dress. When it turns around, that we feel miserable at home, that we can't even dress up at home, can't wear perfume at home, do you want to take a shower at home? And when we have to go out, that motivates us. Know that that itself is a scale on which we could measure which part of the spectrum are we when it comes to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Feel happy with yourself. Feel confident and teach our children. Be confident. Accept Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's decree. When we talk about qadri khayrihi wa sharrihi min Allah ta'ala, these are things Iman and Mufassal you learn as kids. Why was this taught? That whatever Allah has done, He's done. I'm not going to dwell my entire life to understanding why Allah did this. No, it's done. It's right. It's good. It wasn't a mistake. Let me do what I need to do in life. Because they'll do exactly what they did in our countries. They've made our world feel that anyone who is of a dark complexion is wrong and anyone who's of a fair complexion is right. So what do we have in India and Pakistan and Bangladesh? Fair and Lovely. It came out in 1999. 1999 it came out. You keep on putting cream and you're going to become white. Is that so? Huh? There's something in America called Clorox bleach. Just go into a machine in one cycle. I think that should work. What's wrong with us? This is called insecurity. Your height, your weight, this, your that. No, I am perfect, alhamdulillah. Because until you don't accept, you're not doing shukr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's only when you do shukr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you're looking beyond these small things and looking at the bigger thing. Our bodies are made to decay and rot. Our body will rot in the grave. Our hair will rot. Our skin will rot. Our bones will become dust. Our teeth will be gone. It was never meant to stay. But the soul, from the day Allah created it, it is going to be eternal. From the day Allah created till forever. The soul will never get old. The soul will never die. The soul will never phase in beauties. The soul will only continue to enhance its beauties. And that's the qualities. The soul will show its beauty through the physical. When the internal has it, the external will show it. You can have a beautiful light fixture, but no bulb. Doesn't matter if it's a $400 fixture. The bulb is what makes it beautiful, right? If there's no bulb, you won't be able to see the mosaic colors of the light. You have to put the bulb. So it doesn't matter how many colors we have on us. If the soul doesn't have light, the fixture is useless. So this is what is being taught to make. Muslim woman, therefore, is not one of those dressed but naked. Like Rasulullah said, this is so scary. Kasiyat ariyat. Women will be dressed, but they'll be naked. Sahaba, how? Sahaba couldn't understand this. Welcome to the 21st century, right? Clothing they're wearing shows the entire body. They don't have it's a layer, but the body is being shown. They're saying dressed but naked women who abound in societies which have deviated from the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She would tremble with fear at the terrifying picture which a Prophet ﷺ drawed of those painted and adorned temptress who have gone astray. He said, there are two types of people of hell that I have not seen. People with whips like the tails of oxen, with which they beat the people. Till today, many of us are puzzled on this hadith. We don't understand what that means. People with whips like the tails of oxen, with which they will beat the people. And the second is women who are dressed yet appear naked, who are inclined to evil and make their husbands inclined towards it also. Their heads are like the humps of the camel leaning to one side. They will not enter paradise or even smell its scent, although its scent can be discerned from such and such distance. He's saying that when he took a tour with Angel Jibreel alayhi salam, when he went for Mi'raj, he saw two types of people in Jahannam that he didn't understand. The first one, as I said, we still don't understand. What does that mean? Allahu Alam. The time for it will come. But the second we're seeing, what that's doing is luring others towards that. It's creating a temptation which is haram. The Prophet ﷺ said, if you are tempted, go home and fulfill your needs with your spouse. But this society is telling us you could fulfill your needs with everything and everyone but your halal way. And this is very dangerous. And he's saying that their heads will be like the humps of camel leaning to one side. Now, some people say wearing the hijab or up, that might be it. Rihanna had a hairstyle where her thing was up. I don't know what it is. It could be any of these things. A hump of a camel is very distinct, but there's many different types of it. They're the one depending on the camel. Of course, the hair is coming upwards. Allahu Alam. But when they do that, because of two reasons, either to create a trend of evil or to follow the trend which has been created, which is going towards evil, they will not enter paradise or even smell its scent, which you can smell for miles and miles away. They will not be able to smell that. Sometimes we see something to be, hard on us, but when circumstances arises, then people do it. The subhanallah person says, why should I wear hijab? That's back home stuff. And then subhanallah person gets cancer, and then because of radiation treatment, person loses their hair. Now they wear hijab. Like, think about it. At least that's still hidayah, alhamdulillah. At least Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made a situation through which something khair is coming. But we're not supposed to do things in Islam because of damage control. We're doing it because it's realistically true. Wear your hijab with honor. I want this discussion of why Muslims have beards and why women wear hijab to end. It's no longer a discussion. We shouldn't be discussing this anymore. The Jews don't discuss why they wear what they wear. They don't discuss why their hair is so long. It's who they are. They've made it clear, this is my identity. You like it or not, I don't care. This is who I am. But as Muslims, as I told you in the beginning, shaitan will make instability on you. Our foundation is so unstable that we tell, oh, my neighbor, just so you understand, as a Muslim, we wear this on our head. I don't care. Tell the neighbor, I'm here to help you. You shouldn't be looking at this. You should be looking at my actions towards you. That's what you should be looking at. So long we are insecure of who we are, our children, you could just imagine what they're going to face. We don't need to be insecure anymore. And again, these things, tell you one hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man sanna sunnatan hasanatan falahu ajruha wa ajru man amila biha min ghayri an yuntaqasa min ajri shay." If a person starts a good trend, that person gets the reward, and anyone that practices it, they get the reward of that person's reward, without them diminishing. So he started a trend of saying salam. No one's saying salam. So he starts salam. You get the reward, 100 rewards to say. Now you start saying salam, you get 100, she gets 100 because you got 100. And then you said it, so 100, 200, 300. This will continue till the day of judgment. Any trend you start. But then he said, وَمَنْ سَنَّ سُنَّةً سَيِّئَةً. Whoever starts an evil trend, they will have the sin and the sin of all those who do it, without any decrease in their sin. So 50 years from now, 100 years from now, someone is doing something. Now let's think about this. We started a style, which is, for example, wear hijab, but keep the chest open type of thing. Okay, that's a style you start. Oh, that looks nice. I'm going to start that. Guess what happened? That is already a sin for you, sin for all the people. And just say that style evolved into something new. That sin is continuing. Meaning this is a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for disaster that you cannot stop because you started it. Now you started it, it's going to go. And think about it. The person who started it and the person who continued 50 years later. All these people sinned on him, and all these people ahead of him sins on him also. It's a chain reaction. So we have to be very careful of what we adopt, what we follow, what we initiate, what we introduce, because it has repercussions. It could be good rewards, or it could be bad. And I'll finish with one more thing, inshallah. The Muslim woman who who has been truly guided by her faith and has received a sound Islamic education does not wear hijab because it is a custom or tradition inherited from her mother or grandmother, or as some foolish men and women try to describe it with no evidence or logic whatsoever. The Muslim woman wears hijab on the basis of her belief that it is a command from Allah revealed to protect the Muslim woman, to make her character distinct, to keep her away from the slippery slope of immorality and error. So she accepts it willingly and with strong conviction as the woman of the Muhajirin, the immigrants, and the Ansar, the Medinites, accepted it on the day when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed His clear and wise command. According to the report narrated by Imam Bukhari, Aisha radiallahu anha said, "May Allah have mercy on the Muhajir women. When Allah revealed they should not draw their veils, that they should draw their veils over their bosoms," chapter 24, verse number 31, they tore their wrappers and covered their heads and faces with them. According to another report given by Imam Bukhari, Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha said, they took their wrappers, tore them at the edges so that they can cover their heads and faces with them. Let's talk about this. The way commands came down in our Islam, the first 13 years was about reinforcing the importance of one Allah. It's all about that. Only 2 commands came down in Makkah. But all the other commands in Deen, in our Islam, came down where? In Medina. We are trying to create a Medina lifestyle without a Makkah foundation. We shouldn't be telling ourselves, our children, what to do. We should be creating a foundation that they feel the need to do it. Create an interest, a value of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala where they will do it. We shouldn't be saying, wear hijab, pray. I met a brother in Florida who said, I don't pray. I said, why? He goes, back home, that was our culture. That's not the culture here. That's dangerous. That is so dangerous. If prayer is a culture and a custom, and if that mindset continues to become the norm in our society, we will not even have half of the masjid full on Eid prayer 20 years from now. For there are children now who don't come to Ramadan because they don't come for Jum'ah. And as I told you, I think a few weeks back, that now they don't even go for the Eid prayer. Because why should you wake up so early in the morning to go for Eid prayer? We'll wake up, dress up, and go for the parties. Allah is not there. When Allah's not there, doesn't matter what rules you put. Why in America, to an extent, rules and laws are upheld? Because they created a system of loving your country, the system of patriotism. Everyone loves the country. Everyone loves the people. Everyone loves this land. And because of that love, you're willing to do what needs to be done to express that love. It's a system. So love was created of the land. That patriotism was put forward. And everyone in their patriotism and love to a nation, they tell people, don't run a red light or a stop sign. Drive slowly because kids are playing. It's a school zone, go 20. They'll tell each other. They're not police officers, but they'll do it. It came with love. Allah's love has to be the foundation on which these commands will be done. With Allah not being in the equation, doesn't matter what the laws are. No one's going to follow it. So the love is essential. Aisha radiallahu anha, when she says, when this law came down, the women who were on the streets said, right away, they ripped their cloth, the extra cloth, and they covered their head. This is for my Allah. This is my distinction. I continue to admire the Sikh community, that wherever they go, they're wearing their turban. And if they're devout, the women, they also wear turban. They don't care about that. They're setting a trend. I've seen it when I was in the Parliament of World Religions in Toronto. I saw so many white people from across Europe and America and Canada who were following the Sikh tradition and the religion by adopting their religion and their custom and culture and dress. When you do it in a right way and you do it for the right reason and you do it with confidence and you do it without regret and remorse, I promise you, the world will follow you. We were sent to lead. We were not sent to follow. We follow Allah and His Rasul, but we're sent to lead the entire humanity. So I said the discussions on hijab, the discussions on what's okay or not, like we talked about today, mashallah, we have to re-evaluate who is a stranger in our life, our homes, our families, and for our children. This thing about go sleep over at your uncle's place or auntie's place, this is unacceptable. Has to stop. As much as you feel it to be a disease, a problem, a disaster, if you left your son or daughter with someone who's not of the faith, someone you don't know, someone you don't trust, then don't leave them with someone who you feel you can trust. You cannot trust anyone. So that's why Rasulullah said, yes, leave your children with your parents. Leave your children with with your parents is fine, your mother, your father, or your husband, mother, father, that's fine. But with anyone else, as Rasulullah said, the brother-in-law is death. This in our culture is so loose. We are so loose when it comes to this. In regards to hijab, wear whatever we wear, which is modest, that does not show our body physically or by shape, that it doesn't bring pride and arrogance in us, and that we are not luring others towards us. People say about opposite gender, it is a world that we live in today to say even the same gender. Our dress and our manners should not even be loose, that the same gender is attracted to it, because that's the world we're living in today. Sheikh Arsalan is finishing, so I think we will stop. We'll stop with this one, inshallah. There's one more story of Safiya bint Shayba. We'll continue with that, inshallah, on January 8th, inshallah. So as we close here, we'll take a question, inshallah.
So you talked a lot about when we're not following the rules of Islam or of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that there's not contentment. And I was having a conversation with a friend who she's really changed her life, and to the point now that she's actually studying Islam, teaching Quran, but she still feels very uncontent, unfulfilled. She's doing the things the right way. She's doing things that she should be doing. She fills her day with things that she should be doing. But still, she feels like she's not doing enough or not content. So where does that come from, and what is enough? Like, what is enough? Because in this society, we always feel like we need to be doing output. So
see, the thing, I was just had a meeting this morning in breakfast with a Muslim brother who also runs an institution, and we're talking about this. The problem that's in our society right now is that we are super focused on education, right? Education and service. They're good things. Education is important, serving humanity is important, but there's no focus on tarbiyah, which is the mentorship that will allow that education to be beneficial for ourselves. And we're not talking about the service that we give to ourselves as we give our all to the world. This is where the contentment will not be there. A lot of people say, I'm getting closer to my religion, I've started learning my religion. That's good. I always tell people, learn their religion under the mentorship and guidance of a teacher or someone that they can trust. Why? Because like Sam was saying, I went to I don't know what shops you have here. Like we have Richards in Florida, which is a Whole Food store, has all the medicines and stuff. So I want to be healthier. So I'm going to go to a Whole Food store and ask anyone anything and get everything that they tell me. I want to get healthy. Okay, take this, take that. So we're taking a lot of knowledge, like we're taking a lot of supplements. But realistically, what does my body need and how it can be absorbed in my body requires a whole different level of effort, which subhanAllah is not happening in our world anymore. We're just going to classes, seminars, courses, learn, and out. You're never going to feel content that way. You'll feel more confused. There has to be a process of how it can seep in, how it can actually be applicable. Maybe there's some things right now I shouldn't be learning, and there's some things right now I should be revising, and there's some things I should be working on. Abu Bakr radiallahu anh, how long did it take him to learn Surah Baqarah? Longer than it takes one of our children to become hufaz. Why? Because they never learned it the way that we learned it. They learned it, they understood it, they thought about it, they processed it, they applied it, they practiced it, they went on to the next one. So right now we're looking, because our society is based on, quick fixes, instant gratification, so everyone's looking for that. And I was telling the brother this morning, I feel there's a disaster happening. There's a disaster in the making. I'm against so many things in the way it's being done. People call me strange because of that, but believe me, I just don't see the most important part. I said we're seeing Medina, but where was Makkah? We're seeing you need to do, but where is the application? I want to show the world I'm good, but am I showing myself that goodness first? Am I showing my family first? So the application process of knowledge can only be gauged, just like medicine can be gauged through a physician, your primary physician. He understands you or she understands you. In a similar fashion, there has to be that level of effort. The only problem or downside is it takes time, and people don't want to take that time out. So we're going to keep on learning. Alhamdulillah, her intents are good. Tell her, to meet with someone that she can teach her and go over. Because if one scholar is teaching a course, they may be teaching looking at the temperament of their students. But if you're taking 20 different courses from the people that are around you and people who are online or from other countries, it's just making it worse. Because they don't know you, you don't understand the level on which they're speaking. So I think we need to reel it in a bit, give ourselves a bit of break on the brain cells, and kind of let it trickle into the body. And that contentment is the feeling that comes through that mentorship and that training and that application. It's a process. It is a process. And I was saying on Saturday, and I'll finish with this, the Quran came to mold us. The Quran came to mold us. It didn't come to make us. Since we are in a position where we're trying to make ourselves now, because if we were not molded from childhood the way Allah wants us to be, we're like like clay. It's dried up now. It's become a vase. Now we want a cup. That requires breaking it down, and it's going to be painful, and it's not going to be a perfect cup. So if we consider ourselves like glass, we became a glass bottle, now we need to be a glass cup. That requires for us to melt this glass again and form it anew. But the Quran has the power to change people. It changed Umar radiallahu anhu, it changed so many of the Sahaba. It changed, it showed it could change. But that is a strenuous process. If we were to mold from the get-go, it would just flourish. So inshallah, slowly but surely, inshallah. Alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah khair to everyone, and thank you all for your time. You've always been here participating. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept for myself and all of us. And inshallah, we will see all of you on January 8th, inshallah. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma bihamdik. نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك اللهم ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.